Okay, can you tell me your name, where you were born, and a little bit about your family?
Okay. Kiana Trene Faulkner Gorham. I was born in Newburgh, New York. I'm actually a New Yorker. I moved down here 10 years ago when I got married to my husband Nathan, and I've been down here ever since.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about in 2008 and the election. So in 2008, were you able to vote?
Yes.
Okay. And during the election, who did you vote for?
Obama.
Awesome. All right, why did you vote for Obama? And what qualities did you see in him that you thought would be a good fit as him as president?
Honestly, I saw him as a much needed change for what I had seen in the past. And I think beyond the fact that he's black, he was also highly qualified.
Yeah.
It wasn't just he's black and we scraped the bottom of the barrel. He was the epitome in my eyes of black excellence. He seemed to be a committed father, a committed politician. He was a law professor. He knew the law, knows the law inside and out. It wasn't just that he just happened to be there and found supporters. He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. What was your first impression of him when he said he was going to run for president? Because I think he was a senator in Illinois. Yeah. So what was your first impression of him?
I had no idea who he was.
Same. When I saw him, I was like, oh gosh.
Had absolutely no idea who he was. He just came out of left field. Like, okay, this is this guy. All right, let's see what he's about.
So election night, we all know that he was our first black president. Were you surprised with the outcome when they announced that he's the 44th president of the United States?
The night is so surreal. I don't know that I was surprised that he won. I know that I was extremely elated. Like, it was one of those nights where I don't know, everything just kind of moved in slow motion. Yeah. And it was so, I'm not a person that deals with suspense well, so it was so, just so much joy and excitement. There were tears. It was a moving time.
Because I think you mentioned before that, just because he was black, that some people thought he became president. Do you believe that was? But I know you kind of answered that, but could you elaborate a little bit more? Do you think people?
I do know that there are people that voted for him just because he was black.
Yeah.
And that factor cannot be ruled out. It was a huge change.
Yeah.
It wasn't as progressive as people were making it seem at the time. That's when the post-racial terminology came out, that we were post-racist values, and clearly the state that we're in right now shows that we are not post-racial or post-racism or whatever that term was. So again, you can't overlook the fact that there were people that voted for him simply because he was black.
Yeah.
And while I am a black woman and definitely identify with being what some folks call a dual minority, both a woman and a black person, I'm not going to vote for someone just based off of your race. As I said, he was an exceptional choice. So had he been white, he would have been an exceptional choice. There really isn't much to to go beyond that. He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. So you look beyond like the physical characteristics and more of
and the fact that he was black just made it exciting.
Yeah.
Because he, not only was he a law professor, not only was he a Harvard graduate, not only was he a mover and shaker in Illinois and Chicago from the South Side. Not only did he have an amazing wife, he's black.
Yeah, he's a family man.
Exactly.
It just kind of looked like this, they're just so happy.
There was no drama. There was no, those were his kids and his only kids. So it was just exciting to see a stable black family, seeing black love working, black excellence working, and there not being anything crawling out to try to ruin that image.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. All right. One of Obama's slogans or his like statements or ideas or ideologies was for the country was a need for change. So we always say like, yes, we can and change. Like we were coming out of the Great Recession in 2008. The war in Iraq, social issues in other areas in need of help. How important were these issues during this time for you, and did it affect your life at all?
The recession. I come from lower middle class. I don't come from a middle class family. I've been accustomed to poverty for the majority of my life. So I was adopted, and then when I was adopted, the social economic strata or whatever, that changed for me. But I grew up in a very poor household. So to say that the recession affected me, I can't really say that. I grew up in a time and lived in a time where we were always scrambling for the next meal, or scrambling for rent money, or scrambling, you know?
Yeah.
So, as much as it affected other people, those types of things like the housing market and things like that, my family wasn't in the market for that. So that didn't affect us. That my family was already on some type of social program, WIC, food stamps, different things like that. So it didn't really affect me that way. So when I looked at what Obama was talking about, really what I was hoping for was that there would be some serious effect or impact on the systemic racist issues that we have, the pipeline to prison, the discrimination, racist policies that are still in place in certain states and even nationally. I was hoping for that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. To just see that, like, how your life and how it affected between 2008 and since then of his presidency, and how it's like you're trying to bring yourself up from that, and how Obama was a really, really promising, and he was really like true to what he was doing, and yeah, he did accomplish some stuff with like war in Iraq, pulling troops out from there, like trying to get the economy back on track, and like with other social issues. So yeah, I can really see that, and I really feel for you about that. All right, why do you think it's important for like young voters to vote? So like anybody between 18 to 25, because a lot of people didn't vote for the last one. So
it's so important.
Yeah.
When I was in undergrad, I didn't do this for graduate school. When I was in undergrad, I did a research project on voter statistics in my university for the for the age groups that are there. So that's like 17, 18 to 22.
Yeah.
It was so sad. I believe that age group coming into your adulthood, coming into establishing your values. What are you going to stand for? What is your life going to mean? And I know that those might be deep questions for your age group, but honestly, that is the time to start thinking about it. Voting is critical.
Yes.
Absolutely critical, because the people that you're voting for are affecting what's available to you. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, they seem like lofty ideologies, but when you break it down to things that you will actually need in life, think about student loans. What's happening with student loans now? You're in college.
Yeah.
Do you have any student loans? Like, this is going to affect you. It's going to affect your ability to pay those student loans. Programs that they may or may not do away with that were established so that people who are working in nonprofits or as teachers or, all of these programs, because of the ideologies of those that have been appointed by the person who was elected, and that's a whole other conversation, essentially can be on the chopping block, which will affect thousands of graduates.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really important that you vote.
Yeah, to see what could happen in the long run.
Exactly.
All right, last question. For the past 8 years, there's been a myth that since Obama's elections, racism doesn't exist. But we can see since 2008 that hasn't happened, because you see it with the whole police brutality and other things. There's been evidence on the contrary. So why do you think a myth like this exists?
There's no way to really address this without addressing white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, white privilege, as well as the privilege that money brings to certain minorities, because unfortunately there have been rich, famous minorities who have claimed that they don't experience racism.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact, racism is very much so alive and well and unfortunately thriving and gaining strength. I think the myth perpetuated because of the very fact that there was a black man in the highest office in the land.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that just the fact that he made it to that, that in some people's minds, and as I said, I feel like this piggybacks with white privilege because there's certain people that say this statement. That aren't experiencing the microaggressions or the
thank you for letting me do this, and good to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're